Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So in today's tutorial we're going to continue with our voice assistant that we have built using ChatGPT. So right now we have reached the part where we have all the basic functionality down. So what I want to cover in this tutorial is just how to break this down into multiple files instead of having everything in one single file, so that in the future you can add more functionality to this application without having everything jumped into one file. Well, looking at this file is not a lot of code. Actually, it's just 142 lines of code, but I think it's just a good practice to break everything down into its own separate file, right? So you can have a separation of concerns. So let's test this application to see if everything is working so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply test it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and run the application. So I'm going to use the wake up word to wake up our bot, right? So I'm going to say, hello James.
Hello Prince, how can I help you?
What is the largest capital city in the world?
The largest capital city in the world, by land area, is Moscow, Russia. Its total area is around 2,511 square kilometers, 970 square miles. The largest capital city by population is Tokyo, Japan, with over 37 million people in its metropolitan area.
Okay, so as you can see, everything still works fine. So let me just exit out of this and just exit. I could have just used the exit word also, but I'm just gonna hit Control C to exit out of this, clear the terminal, and then jump back into my VS Code. So instead of here, we're just going to create a, you can call this another, you can create another version of this. So I can just create another one called version _02.py. So we have the original one and so we have version 2. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy everything from here and then move it in here. Okay, so once we have everything in here, now we can begin to break this down into multiple files. The first thing I want us to do is to deal with the file generation. So we can start from here. We can just go ahead and take this into a new file. So we can just go ahead and simply copy. I'm just going to cut it from here, go ahead and create a new file right here. I'm going to call it generate let's see, let me just call it generate underscore file, file underscore name.py. Okay, so once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and simply paste this code right here. So we need to import datetime right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply say import date time, just like that. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So we can go back in here and fix that now that import is. So we need to go ahead and import it. So we're not using this anymore, so I can just go ahead and delete it. I'm going to say from generate file, I'm going to import generate file. Okay, just like that. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So we have that function there. Okay, so once we have that function there, one thing else I also want to go ahead and simply test is the part where we are going to go ahead and let's see, maybe okay, let's scroll down and see what we have right so far. So we also have the part where we are writing a program, right? So we can also separate that into a different file. So let's see what we're going to do this and simply create a new file. We're going to call it writeprogram.py and then simply move all this functionality inside of writeprogram.py. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and create a new file. Right, I'm going to call it write underscore program.py. Okay, so once I have write underscore program.py, I'm going to go in here and simply copy this code right here. So let me just see where this ends. I'm going to go ahead and simply copy everything right here. Copy all of this, so I'm go until here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simply copy all sorry, let me just do that reselection one more time. So go ahead and copy all this until the response, copy it, go into write program and simply paste it in there. So first let me just undo that, and I'm going to create a function in this side of this. I'm going to call it write underscore program, and this function is going to take in the open AI. Okay, and you're going to also take in text, which is just the text that you want to write code based on. I'm going to be using type string in this case, and after that you're going to go ahead and simply return the response text, which you can just go ahead and simply return the response text. Okay, so I'm going to use an arrow function, a type hint, and I'm going to go ahead and simply say this is going to be an str, right? Because a code is basically a string. So I'm going to go in here and paste the code right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and let me just fix that indentation issue. So get that and then simply shift and press tab to fix that indentation. So I need to go ahead and indent one more time. So select this and then finish that indentation. Okay, So we have everything done here. So I'm going to go ahead and indent this, make sure the code is properly formatted. I need to indent all of this as well. So select all that, select all this, and then hit tab to indent that as well. So yeah, once we have that done, we can see we have some generate this. So we're going to go ahead and actually import. So I'm going to say from generate file name, I'm going to import generate file name. So that should now handle that. Okay, so one thing I also want to do is I want to move this out of here. I don't want this to be here, so I'm going to simply cut this out and go back and paste it, delete all this and paste it here. So I'm going to go ahead and let me just do Control Z, and then simply what I want to keep is just what I want to move out is just this part. So I'm going to move it out, and then finally fix that indentation. So Shift Tab, fix that indentation. Okay, so make that properly, and then now we're going to go ahead and generate the file name. Okay, so how do we generate the file name? We generate the file name using the generate file name function that we have, right? So we're going to go ahead and use that to generate the file name that we want. So we're going to go ahead and say, first of all, we're going to go ahead and get the response text. So we're going to go ahead and simply say response. Let me just get that right. Response underscore text is going to be equals to the following. So this can be of type as str, which is string. It's going to be of calling. You're going to say write underscore program. Okay, so this is a function that we have defined inside of our file right here. So let's go ahead and actually import that. So we'll just simply copy this and then go back in and just simply say from write program, I'm going to import write program function. Okay, so once we have this function right here, you can see this function we need to pass in an argument which is going to be OpenAI in the text. We're going to say the OpenAI instance that we have created, OpenAI. Okay, then I'm going to pass in the text, which is going to be simply the text, right? The text that the user passes. So I'm going to say text is going to be equals to text right here. And you can also go ahead and give it the key if you want. So OpenAI is equals to that specifically. So once we have that done, now we also need to generate the file name. So we can see we have an error right there. So let's go ahead and generate the file name. So we're going to say file underscore name equals to generate random file name and simply call that function. So you're going to give it a random file name, and you're going to use the random file name to generate the code and simply use that store that information inside of the file and then open that file in VS Code. So that's basically what we have for the write code function. So let's go ahead and see what else we can separate. So we also have the image generation part, which is this part right here, and we can also separate this into its own file. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how we can separate this into its own file, because right now it's something that is on its own. So I think it's just best if you move it into its own file. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simply copy this part right here. I'm just going to go ahead and simply cut it out, go in here, create a file. I'm going to call this file we can call it image underscore generation.py. okay, press enter, and let's have a function in here called generate underscore image, and then simply pass in we're going to pass in the OpenAI instance, and I'm going to get the text and be of type str. At the end of the day, you're going to go ahead and return the URL to that image. So this is going to be a string. Okay, so if you know about type hints or about how type hints work in Python, I have a whole series on type hints in Python, so you can go ahead and check out my channel, a whole series on Python, so you can check out those videos. Okay, so once we have that done, let me just go ahead and fix that indentation. Okay, so let me fix the indentation. So once we have this image response generated, what we want to go ahead and do is simply, let me see, so let me just go ahead and fix that other indentation. Yeah, so properly fixed. And then I'm going to go ahead and simply say return image URL, which is basically string, right? That's what I'm saying, this is going to be a string. So let's go ahead and actually call this function, import this function inside of our main file, and then simply use this function. So we're going to say from generate image generation, actually not generate image but image generation, import generate image. Okay, so I'm going to use this function to generate the image. So I'm going to copy this and then scroll down to the part where I'm generating the image. So we're going to go ahead and simply say image underscore URL. So URL is going to be equals to this, right? And you're going to pass in OpenAI. It's going to be the OpenAI instance that we have. And then we're also going to go ahead and pass in we're going to pass in text, and text is going to be simply going to be the text that we have, right? So good. So once we have that there, we are good to go. So one thing you also need to do is now you get the image. You simply open that image in the browser. So that's basically it. So that's all for that function to work properly. Okay, so we are good to go. We have that separated into its own file. So what else can we separate into its own file? Okay, so let's look closely and let's see what else we can separate into its own file, which is this part right here. So we can separate this into its own file, and this is the part that deals with general responses, right? So you can create a file right here and you can call it generals.py. So generals.py. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a function in here, and this function, you're going to call this function general question, because this what basically uses ChatGPT to answer general questions. So we say general underscore questions, and you're going to be passing in the open AI instance. You're going to pass in text, which is going to be of type string, and you're going to go ahead and return a string. Okay, so what you're going to have here, I'm just going to go ahead and paste the code that I simply copied, and then simply fix that indentation. So fix the indentation right here. Okay, so let me just go ahead and fix that indentation as well. So once we have that, you're going to go ahead and simply return the responses. So we're going to say return, and it's going to be response text basically, because it's a string. So we're going to return the response text as well. So that's all we need to do for this function. So now let's go ahead and import this function in our main program and use it instead of what we have so far. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to simply say from generals, I'm going to go ahead and import this function right here. So we're going to use this function, call this function, and simply use it to get a answer general question. So I'm going to pass it right here, and you're going to simply say it's going to be response underscore text, which is going to be of type str, is going to be equals to general questions. And I'm going to go ahead and simply pass in our open AI instance, which is going to be open AI, and then finally pass in the text as well, which is going to be equals to text, just like that. So once we have this right here, we can go ahead and simply use this function to run our code to generate the different responses that we want to get. So once we have that done, let's go ahead and try everything out and see if everything will be working. So you can look through the code more and try to break down things furthermore if you want to, but for now I just think this breakdown that we have, whereby you have each function in its like each major feature within its own Python file, is sufficient. It's going to suffice for our needs. So if you want to add more, to break it down further, simply go ahead and do that. You can also use classes to create these things. Okay, so once we have that, we are good to go. So you can see now our code is much cleaner in here instead of our main file, because we have moved everything to external files. Okay, so once we have that, I can just go ahead and run the program again to make sure everything works.
Hello Prince, how can I help you?
Write a program to print hello world in JavaScript.
Console.log.
Okay.
Hello world.
Okay, so now that functionality works. So the only functionality we have to test now is the functionality to be able to generate an image. Okay, so let's go ahead and test that functionality, and then we can close off the video from there. So let's go ahead and exit this out. So let's actually try the exit feature. Hello James. Hello James.
Hello Prince, how can I help you?
Exit.
Sorry, I'm an AI language model and I'm not sure what you mean by sit. Can you please provide more context or ask a specific question?
Yeah, so I just exit out of there. So let's go ahead and actually make sure we have the image generation part. So let's actually test the image generation part, and then let's exit this, end the video. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply run this. So let me look at the image generation command one more time, and let's see. So generate image. Okay. So let's go ahead and test it out again. So hello James. Hello James.
Hello Prince, how can I help you?
Generate an image of a man on the moon. So you can see now the image has been generated, and we have the image of the man on the moon. So all our features seems to be working fine. So yeah, that's all how to build a simple voice assistance in chat using ChatGPT and Python. You guys can go ahead and add more and more features. You can think of anything and just simply add it in here and make it more advanced. And if you do those, you can let us know in the comment section. You can share your code with us on GitHub, so we can actually just see the code and see what you have done. Okay, so I'm also going to go ahead and actually leave this on GitHub, so you guys can have access to the code and all that information. So guys, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this so far, make sure that you like the video, you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you comment on the video, give us any feedback so that it can help me to improve the video quality and stuff like that. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.